All right, peace and love, everyone. Glad you could be here. It's Tuesday, February 27th, and we're here for the Unity of Livonia, A Course in Miracles Study Group. Quick question. Uh, did all of you receive the study schedule that we use, the daily? Is there anyone who needs it? All right. Well, we're doing well there. Question number two. Apart from how well you're doing with the schedule, okay, I'm not getting into your business. Do you understand how to use it? Because it looks a bit intimidating. I mean, it's 52 weeks and it's the Course in Miracles. But if you're having any difficulty understanding the schedule, open up your book and follow along with how the sections are divided. And I think you'll find the schedule will make sense. It's very closely tied in to just how the course is formatted and that. So I hope that'll help. But are there any questions, comments, announcements, miracle sightings, or anything you'd like to talk about with the group? All right. Well, we can delve on into things for tonight. Uh, this past week, we were on chapter 7, the gifts of the kingdom, and we were studying workbook lessons 43 to 49. Questions or comments on anything on our reading schedule this past week? Okay. So, to me, the thing about A Course in Miracles, at least initially, is that a lot of things we absorb and others we don't absorb all that well. But sometimes it's hard to put it into a question. But I just wanted to say if you do have them, uh, don't hesitate to take a little bit of time to try and verbalize what the issues are. And we got Spirit here with us, so maybe we can offer some answers along the way. So I won't belabor that point tonight or anything. Why don't we just get ready for what's next? And tonight we're doing chapter 8. One of my favorites. Seems like I've said that before. One of my favorites. At any rate, chapter 8 is called The Journey Back. And tonight we are also in the workbook on lesson 50. And that is the last of the first 50 lessons. So, what's going to come up next after lesson 50?
Reviews.
Yeah, the first of 6 review periods. And I'd like to get to where we can read at least the introduction to review number 1. So that's kind of the plan from my perspective this evening. Does that sound okay to you? All right, well, let's get our readers going. Is there anyone who does not want to read except Jan? And should I put Hilda there? All right. So Jan and Hilda are not reading. Is there anyone else that does not want to read? All right, here I'll take a comment. Okay. Gina's reader 1, and then Frank is 2, Christine is 3, Ron 4, Nancy 5, Joan 6, and Julie is 7. Did I leave anyone out? All right. Can't wait. Without further ado, Gina, we're ready. Whoops. I hope we're ready. It's the text, page 138, the journey back.
And I'm number 1, huh?
Yes, you are again, my lady.
All right, the journey back, the direction of the curriculum. Knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course. Peace is. This is the prerequisite for knowledge only because those who are in conflict are not peaceful. And peace is the condition of knowledge because it is the condition of the kingdom. Knowledge can be restored only when you meet its conditions. This is not a bargain made by God, who makes no bargains. It is merely the result of your misuse of his laws on behalf of an imaginary will that is not his. Knowledge is his will. If you are opposing his will, how can you have knowledge? I have told you what knowledge offers you, but perhaps you do not yet regard this as wholly desirable. If you did, you would not be so ready to throw it away when the ego asks for your allegiance.
You know, uh, it's a long paragraph. Let's stop and see what you want to talk about here. Is that surprising? Was it surprising when you first read that first sentence in previous years?
I like that first sentence.
Well,
I think it just kind of is surprising in the way that it restates the very beginning of the book, saying that the goal is peace.
yeah,
So that's not so it's surprising in that way to me, like
yes,
because
yes.
I'm quick to forget it even after all this time.
Well, that's why it's being repeated one way or another many, many times. But the overall goal, the overall purpose of this course is not to awaken us, but to prepare us, to help us to meet the conditions for the awakening to occur. Remember, this is reverse engineering. The awakening is not from something new. The awakening will come from the relinquishment of this misidentification that we keep holding on to. How am I doing? You following?
So far,
And Frank, you said you liked that sentence. Did you have more comments about it?
well, I like the idea that the motivation is to have peace, but also to grow in love.
So why is peace so important?
Peace of mind, we can do anything, and we have a very enjoyable life, happy life.
So what is the process, according to the course, for having peace? What method should we use to find peace starts with an F.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Do you see how they go together?
Very much so.
And what is forgiveness?
I find it letting go of my negative attitudes or interpretations of my world.
Why?
It gives me peace of mind.
And why would that give you peace of mind? To let go of those negative emotions and things like that. Why would that give you peace of mind to let them go?
Because when you're coming from the place of negativity, I see that as the opposite of peace of mind, and it doesn't feel very good when we're coming from that place of negativity. It feels so much better when we have this peace, when we have the acceptance of other people, including ourselves, and that feels good.
Yeah. What does the Course say negativity comes from? You know, the Course says there are only two emotions. One is love, and the other is
Fear.
Hate.
so all the sadness, the anxiety, all of the difficulty, the problems come from things that aren't true. They may appear true, but that's the problem, is that we've misidentified. So to the extent that we can let the mistaken illusions, is that a good word now? To the extent that we let them go, what will take their place? That was always there, but they were covered. It was covered. So if we can uncover, let that crap go, you with me? What will be there of itself? Starts with a P. Somebody said
Peace.
all right. So are you getting the strategy here? And so you say, yeah, but Jim, that only works at study group, right? But if I'm determined, I can not only do it theoretically, but I can apply it. Remember how the Course says the emphasis of this course is not so much on the theory, but on what?
Peace.
Application.
The application, okay, is probably more apropos, Frank, to say the benefits, the real benefits are in the doing, not in the thinking about it.
Thank you.
You'll get brownie points for thinking about it, but the real rewards, to our surprise, comes from living from these true principles instead of the crap that we've been taught. Good?
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And that's just one paragraph, right?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Now, just so I'm clear, knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course. The removal of the blocks to love's presence is what we're trying to do. we're trying to retro engineer and fix this thing and get rid of the blocks. And what will be there? Peace and all the other things that come from love. Strength, certainty, confidence, knowing what to do and when to do it. The other thing is, and I'm sorry for going on, is that if we can be peaceful, we can hear the voice for God. What's that called in this book? The voice for God.
Holy Spirit.
Okay.
Holy Spirit.
Now, the Holy Spirit has no need to change itself. But if I'm willing to meet the Holy Spirit will act on my invitation. It's just that his voice can't come through a lot of noise. So do you see the advantage of getting rid of the noise?
Mhm.
All right.
Right.
I'll leave it there. You want to read on? Then we're up to my friend Frank Haas.
Number 2, the directions of the ego may seem to interfere with your learning, but the ego has no power to distract you unless you give it the power to do so. The ego's voice is an hallucination. You cannot expect it to say, I am not real. Yet you are not asked to dispel your hallucinations alone. You are merely asked to evaluate them in terms of their results to you. If you do not want them on the basis of loss of peace, they will be removed from your mind for you.
Thank you, Frank. Let's do another one. Ron, you ready?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think there's some, and Christina's next.
Yes. Yes.
Christine is
Did I
next.
skip?
I'm ready.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Every response to the ego is a call to war, and war does deprive you of peace. Yet in this war, there is no opponent. This is the reinterpretation of reality that you must make to secure peace, and the only one you need ever make. Those whom you perceive as opponents are part of your peace, which you are giving up by attacking them. How can you have what you give up? You share to have, but you do not give it up yourself. When you give up peace, you are excluding yourself from it. This is a condition so alien to the kingdom that you cannot understand the state that prevails within it.
Thanks, Christine. We've got a couple of paragraphs here. What do you say, mighty companions? Paragraph 2, anything there that you'd like to talk about? How about paragraph 3? Okay. That's so funny. Like,
Par-
comment. Anybody?
Paragraph 2 talks. Paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 talks about that.
Now we're having some
And-
technical difficulty here. Who's speaking?
We get
Ron?
so choice.
Is that you
Well-
speaking, Ron?
Or
Can all of you hear me okay?
I
Yes,
can,
but
yes.
it's not Ron.
Okay, Ron,
You
say
can't
something, Ron. Let
hear
me.
me?
Yes.
But your picture's frozen.
Yeah,
Yeah. Are you in on 2 devices or anything, Ron? Gina.
Yeah, I think he did the right thing. He'll come back in. He was just
All right.
having a,
Thank you. Thank you, Gina. In the meantime, oh, there he is. Ron, you want to try it again?
yes, yes.
Better. Okay,
There.
what were you saying?
I was talking about the ego, and the ego only has importance in our life if we give it that importance. If we choose not to, then it doesn't have importance at all. So we make the decision several times a day. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
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 Okay, good.
So,
So
yes,
we
I
choose-
think, go ahead.
We choose how important the ego is to us. And we've all, I believe, made the ego very important at times. And sometimes we continue to do that. But we can also choose otherwise to put the ego, if you will, in the back seat of the car, not in control of our lives.
I like that.
I do
So
too.
the
I
ego
think
is like
it's beautifully said. Was there more?
that's about it.
Well, that's a mouthful. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else on paragraph 2? Okay. You know, Ron was talking about the importance of the ego. And man, we must think it's really important because so many of us think the ego is us. Now, how important is that? I'm not saying, and I don't believe Jesus is saying, and I don't believe the Course is saying that we need to destroy the ego. There's a place for everything. But the ego is not a good teacher.
That's for sure.
It's not a good guide. It doesn't tell the truth. You can't depend on it. It's always in chaos. It's always paranoid. It's always anxiety producing. It has a place, but not the importance that we've given it. Use the ego to keep, the ego only attends to differences, okay? So it has some uses here in level 2. Y'all know what I mean. Level 1, heaven, level 2 here in the illusion. So here in the illusion, you don't want your illusory body walking into a tree. You need to be able to discern between the highway and an embankment. You need to be able to fight or flight here in level 2. You can use the ego to set and keep appointments for stuff like that. but not as our guide to truth. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
Yes.
Now, notice that to destroy the ego is an act of separation, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, isn't that separation?
Edging God out.
That is not what this course teaches. It's not telling us to try and destroy the ego like it's a villain or something. It's simply to tell us to manage our egos accordingly as part of God's plan. I kind of say I'm not a body, but this body is my work suit because I'm here for a purpose. And this is my costume to keep everybody in this fearful species, full of fear, from running away. So I put on a costume so they don't run, and that way I can demonstrate and teach. They think it's just Jim or just Hilda or just Julie. We good on paragraph 2?
Sounds good.
Paragraph 3 brings up a whole lot of things for me. I'm surprised you didn't have any comments or questions about what was being said. It says every response to the ego is a call to war.
Mhm.
Yet it's kind of a stupid war because this war there is no opponent.
Right.
This is a reinterpretation of reality that you make in a feeble attempt to secure peace.
Mhm.
Those whom you perceive as opponents are part of your peace. What? I always thought they were enemies or something like that, or people that get on my nerves. Are you saying that's not who they are?
We
You
really
mean
don't
I
have
should
any opponents.
say that again, Joan? It sounds important.
We really do not have any opponents.
What? Wait, listen, if I had no enemies, if I had no opponents, would I have the freedom to walk full stride and be myself? You
Yeah.
mean
Mhm.
what was holding me back was that I was seeing people as they are not, as not what they are really for?
Mhm.
You mean that person that rubs me the wrong way has value to me?
If you think that,
So now I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey with me, okay?
Yeah.
Go to lesson 52 in the workbook for students and let me see if I can find it quickly. Lesson 52 is what will be coming on this coming week as part of review number 1. Lesson 52 is on page 84, right?
right,
And it speaks to the characteristics of real reality. It says reality is never frightening. It is impossible that it could upset me because the reality or the truth brings only perfect peace. So if I'm upset, I must be seeing what's not really there. Yes, no?
Mhm.
Yes,
So at a minimum, some of these outlandish, audacious statements
Mhm.
make us really think, don't they? You mean I've had this thing all wrong from my childhood to for so long? And not just me, but our history for so long has recognized something called an enemy. I don't know about you, but that's deep. And are you suggesting that I change my life to live in a different reality?
yes.
The real reality? Well, everybody's gonna run over me, right? I'm gonna be so weak.
No, we're not.
And yet, when you look at the power of love, and there's so much evidence for it, like Gandhi and the movement to get the British out of India, or Dr. Martin Luther King, or Nelson Mandela, and the love techniques that they use. That wasn't weak, was it? So don't be afraid that being what you are, love, the Holy Spirit's going to let everybody just run over you. You'll find techniques with so much more strength and power. And I've been trying to do it. It seems to work. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Comments. Thank you, Julie. There are other places. Let me go and look at paragraph 3 again, see if there's anything else. So, would you consider reincorporating your enemies into your life and use them for what they're supposed to be instead of what you made out of them? Would you be willing to give it a try just to see if it makes your life happier?
Right.
I would just ask, as the course does several times, would you rather be right
Nope,
or happy?
happy.
I'll take wrong to be happy, or at least I'll give it a try, right? I think I'll stop. There's a whole lot more that's coming to mind, but why don't we move on? All right. Okay.
It's my turn and I'll read paragraph 4.
Thank you, Ron. We're up to Ron.
Your past learning must have taught you the wrong things simply because it has not made you happy. On this basis alone, its value should be questioned. If learning aims at change, and that is always its purpose, are you satisfied with the changes your learning has brought you? Dissatisfaction with learning outcomes is a sign of learning failure, since it means that you did not get what you wanted.
Yeah. Is it working what we had been doing before we started the course?
No,
And if
No.
we start following the course's advice to the very best of our ability, will we see any change? And we'll know that the learning worked by the satisfaction we get from the learning outcomes. Does that make sense to you? Did I say it right?
That's good.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're up to Nancy, right?
That's right. Number 5. The curriculum of the atonement is the opposite of the curriculum you have established for yourself, but so is its outcome. If the outcome of yours has made you unhappy, and if you want a different one, a change in the curriculum is obviously necessary. The first change to be introduced is a change of direction. A meaningful curriculum cannot be inconsistent. If it is planned by 2 teachers, each believing in diametrically opposed ideas, it cannot be integrated. If it is carried out by these 2 teachers simultaneously, each one merely interferes with the other. This leads to fluctuation, but not to change. The volatile have no direction. They cannot choose one because they cannot relinquish the other, even if it does not exist. Their conflicted curriculums teaches them that all directions exist and gives them no rationale for choice.
Thanks, Nancy. And let's just do the next one. Joan, paragraph 6, please.
Okay. Does Gina know how to fix my turning pink and purple and everything?
Is she coming through a filter or something?
Yeah. Um,
Do
no,
we,
but
are
I
we
will-
able to
I will
work
look into
on it
that.
here, or what do you think?
Oh, well.
I keep telling her she looks good in any color, but maybe we should try and get it right. Or is that something maybe we can help her with later? What do you think?
Yeah, I have to look into it because I don't know. But I'm sure there's some beautiful filter you got going on there.
That's what I'm
That's
thinking
weird,
too.
isn't
It's
it?
a filter adjustment. Gina, can you
Well, we'll
make a
just
note
forget
and
about it
maybe
for
check
now.
in with Joan this week or when it's convenient? See if
Okay,
we can work on that, okay?
okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
and thank you, Gina. Joan, did you read yet?
okay,
Can
paragraph
you read
6.
yeah, go ahead.
The total senselessness of such a curriculum must be fully recognized before a real change in direction becomes possible. You cannot learn simultaneously from 2 teachers who are in total disagreement about everything. Their joint curriculum presents an impossible learning task. They are teaching you entirely different things in entirely different ways, which might be possible, except that both are teaching you about yourself. Your reality is unaffected by both, but if you listen to both, your mind will be split about what your reality is.
Does that make sense? Even if you don't go to church to learn it?
Yes.
This makes sense in the secular world? Does it compute?
Right.
You know, it's been said in the course and in the Bible, you cannot serve 2 masters who are teaching you. They're in total opposition in their whole thought system. One is based on separation, and the other is based on wholeness, on inclusion, on oneness, on unity. So you say, okay, I kind of believe that unity thing. You know, I go to Unity Church and yeah, and but don't you does it make sense that if you try and follow two opposing teachers and what they teach you, you're just gonna blow your head off. You've set an impossible learning task. So what's the solution, my friends?
Listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit and ignore the ego.
Okay, but more fundamental than which voice is you have to make a decision for one master. You're going to have to take one and let the other one go because they're just dragging on it. And unfortunately, what's being dragged on is you. Even if it's a wrong choice, there's no other solution but to pick one, live it fully, and see if it friggin' works. Right?
Right.
Can you think of another option? Oh, I'll just blow my head off. I mean, that is an option. I'm such a coward. I'm so scared. I can't pick just one, right? At any rate, as Joe was saying, we think the right choice is the Holy Spirit and not the ego. But I gotta really practice letting my ego go as my teacher and turning that space over to the Holy Spirit and see if it works for me, right? How will I know it's working? Is that the learning outcomes will make me happy. So would you say that's a good explanation about changing the direction of your curriculum? The curriculum we've been following says there's good and bad, up and down, friends and enemies, uh, despair and joy, pleasure and pain. But the Holy Spirit says reality is never frightening. Which one are you going to go with? And you can't half step your way into it. You got to choose. And how do you know you've chosen? Through your demonstration. Right?
Right.
That shows that you're moving on another direction, that you've changed your curriculum. Is you liking that thing? You see where we're getting ready to go? And I guess he's going to talk to us about how to do the reverse engineering, because chapter 8 is called The Journey Back, not the journey forward. Surprising, but compelling, interesting, isn't it?
Mhm.
So why don't we get on into, I'm seeing we're at Julie, to start us on section Roman 2, the difference between imprisonment and freedom.
Okay.
Julie, you ready, my friend?
Yes. Yes,
you.
number 1. There is a rationale for choice. Only one teacher knows what your reality is. If learning to remove the obstacles to that knowledge is the purpose of the curriculum, you must learn it of him. The ego does not know what it is trying to teach. It is trying to teach you what you are without knowing what you are. It is expert only in confusion. It does not understand anything else. As a teacher, then, the ego is totally confused and totally confusing. Even if you could disregard the Holy Spirit entirely, which is impossible, you could still learn nothing from the ego because the ego knows nothing. Ah.
Yeah, boy, that's just a few sentences in this book, right? Comments.
Well, I
And
know. I've been
notice,
confused.
yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Now I know I have been confused so often.
Now you know why what? Say it again.
I have been confused in some situations.
Yeah.
It's coming from ego.
Yeah. We've been trying to understand what is not understandable. We thought it was us. The whole thing is wrong. All of it. Because it's based on separation, not wholeness. So that's a fundamental difference in these teachers and how they approach things, correct?
Right.
All right. Thank you, Julie. Is there anything else on that paragraph? Then we're back to Gina, paragraph 2, please.
Hang on 1 second, sorry.
Mhm.
All right, where are we?
We're on paragraph 2 on page 139
Got it.
at the bottom there.
Yep, I got it. Is there any possible reason for choosing a teacher such as this? Does the
Yes
total
or no? At any rate, go on, Gina. Sorry.
Does the total disregard of anything it teaches make anything but sense? Is this the teacher to whom a son of God should turn to find himself? The ego has never given you a sensible answer to anything. Simply on the grounds of your own experience with its teaching, should not this alone disqualify it as your future teacher? Yet the ego has done more harm to your learning than this alone. Learning is joyful if it leads you along your natural path and facilitates the development of what you have. When you are taught against your nature, however, you will lose by your learning because your learning will imprison you. Your will is in your nature and therefore cannot go against it.
So look at lesson 101 right quick. So you can see where the bar is here, okay? So here's the difference between reality and what we call reality. God's will for me is perfect happiness. Lesson 52 review lesson said, reality is never frightening. Where could you come up with such a tiny, mad idea? but there's no limit to my kids' imagination. And yet I can't imprison them by diminishing their imagination. I can only let them see what their imaginations are capable of. And it can be happiness or unhappiness. It's up to them, because the hallmark of love is not imprisonment, it's freedom, isn't it?
Yes.
Even if it would be for their own good, I can't attack them by doing for them things they don't want to do. God himself can't make you do things you don't want to do. So I'll just let them see the consequences and see if they make a wise choice. Because nobody in their right mind would pick this illusion over the truth. I'll just keep them safe while they go out and play with their illusions. It'll be their illusions that ultimately bring them home. That's deep, right?
Mhm.
What a friggin' plan. So, we are back to the section now. We're on page 140 of the difference between imprisonment and freedom, you see. Thank you for the smiley face, Julie. I'm getting with the text stuff now. Thank you. Our next reader, Gina, just read. Frank, is it your turn?
Yeah, number 3.
Yes.
Okay, number 3, the ego cannot teach you anything as long as your will is free, because you will not listen to it. It is not your will to be imprisoned because your will is free. That is why the ego is the denial of free will. It is never God who coerces you, because he shares his will with you. His voice teaches only in accordance with his will, but that is not the Holy Spirit's lesson, because that is what you are. The lesson is that your will and God's cannot be out of accord, because they are one. This is the undoing of everything the ego tries to teach. It is not then only the direction of the curriculum that must be unconflicted, but also the content.
Comments from anyone? Okay. Was there a comment? Christine, we're on paragraph 4, right? Christine, you there? Oh, let me see if she's here. Oh, Christine, we need you to unmute yourself, okay? There you go. Could you start over? We
Okay,
couldn't hear
yeah,
you.
I will start over. I didn't know that I was muted.
That's
Okay.
all right. Go right ahead, dear.
Number 4. The ego tries to teach that you want to oppose God's will.
Now stop right there real quick. What is God's will for me?
Peace.
Perfect
Be
happiness.
happy,
Perfect peace, right?
perfect peace, and to be happy.
Okay, so just to make sure we remember, the ego tries to teach you that you don't want to be perfectly happy, right?
Right. And I'm just going to insert something big. I'm, relatively new at the Course in Miracles. I started at a late age, but I have literally been listening to the ego for much of my life, and then I've come to realize that what I was listening to just more recently now, because of our teaching, and I'm really much more into it now, that what I've been listening to has no truth to it. And it's taken me all these, well, I've been involved in this now about maybe 5 or 6 years, but I knew nothing when I started. So I just listened, and then I found out that what I thought was real, it wasn't. It was not true. So that's a big revelation for me.
For you and probably most of us here, and we are so grateful to learn that there were alternatives to reality, because the one we were doing was too uncertain.
That's right.
It had happy times, but it had sad times in that. But this one has only happy times.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't mean you go to funerals and laugh, okay?
Right.
But it does mean you are secure and at peace in a reality that wills perfect happiness and allows you to maintain and be a peacemaker and a comforter and a friend to others who don't understand what's going on quite yet.
Yes.
They will. It's only a matter of time.
Time. That's right.
Thank you, Christine, for your comments.
Thank you. This, a natural lesson cannot be learned. And the attempt to learn it is a violation of your own freedom, making you afraid of your will because it is free. The Holy Spirit opposes any
imprinting.
I'm sorry. Any imprinting of the will of a son of God, knowing that the will of the Son is the Father's. The Holy Spirit leads you steadily along the path of freedom, teaching you how to disregard or look beyond everything that would hold you back. And again, I really can relate to the words.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what I found is the more I'm willing to engage it and let the control go,
yes,
the more it gives me. And it gives me happy solutions, and it gives me more consistent joy.
Yes.
So the test of whether of this learning is the outcomes make me happy.
Yes.
And it's not a strain, it's not a big challenge and one hurdle after another. And even if I jump the hurdles, I ain't all that happy because it was hard. These lessons are easily accomplished, but I have to give it the little willingness for the voice to really take over and manage my life according to reality instead of according to the teachings of the world.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Who's next? I'm showing Ron.
Yes, paragraph 5. We have said that the Holy Spirit teaches you the difference between pain and joy. That is the same as saying he teaches you the difference between imprisonment and freedom. You cannot make this distinction without him because you have taught yourself that imprisonment is freedom. Believing them to be the same, how can you tell them apart? Can you ask the part of your mind that taught you to believe they are the same to teach you how they are different? No.
Thank you. Good answer, Rod.
Yeah,
Comments, my friends, anybody? All right, then I have next up is Nancy, correct?
You got it.
All right.
The Holy Spirit's teaching takes only one direction and has only one goal. His direction is freedom, and his goal is God. Yet he cannot conceive of God without you, because it is not God's will to be without you. When you have learned that your will is God's, you could no more will to be without him than he could will to be without you. This is freedom, and this is joy. Deny yourself this, and you are denying God his kingdom, because he created you for this.
For what?
For freedom.
And what comes
Joy.
from that again?
Joy.
Yeah, happiness, joy,
Yeah. Yeah.
benevolence,
Yeah.
being benign, being harmless, having no enemies, not having anything to attack, knowing, not perceiving, but ultimately knowing that all is well. Boy, that came to me. My next All Is Well newsletter is coming out March 4th. So take a look at it. I'm almost done with it and getting it scheduled to go out. But God's will for me is perfect happiness. That's the truth. That's the only way I can see that all is well, despite all the appearances. I'm in a lesson plane. I'm in Earth School. Man, if I let it, I can matriculate it easily and with joy, because the means of matriculating the Holy Spirit's curriculum, the means are the same as the outcome. The outcome is joy, and the means to get to it is joy. Is that consistent?
Absolutely.
Is that, Nancy? Yes.
Yes.
Is that different than the world's teaching about getting there by any means necessary? Gandhi said, if the means you use to get there will be the outcome. This whole thing is perfectly happy, perfectly joyous, perfectly above the battleground, right?
Right.
And if I'm willing, the voice for God will lead me there, because I want to be there. Now, if I want to be there, is there any difference between God's will for me and my will for me? Do we have a match?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a synergy in joining. Okay,
Thank you.
or maybe not okay. Any other questions? let's try and finish this thing and get to our workbook lesson. I don't know, Joan is next.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
We are only at 7, right?
is that where we are? 7. Okay.
All right, let's try and finish this.
Okay. When I said, all power and glory are yours because the kingdom is his, this is what I meant. The will of God is without limit, and all power and glory lie within it. It is boundless in strength and in love and in peace. It has no boundaries because its extension is unlimited, and it encompasses all things because it created all things. By creating all things, it made them part of itself. You are the will of God because that is how you were created. Because your creator creates only like himself, you are like him. You are part of him who is all power and glory and are therefore as unlimited as he is.
And Julie, finish us up paragraph 8, please.
Sure. To what else except all power and glory can the Holy Spirit appeal to restore God's kingdom? His appeal then is merely to what the kingdom is and for its own acknowledgement of what it is. When you acknowledge this, you bring that acknowledgement automatically to everyone because you have acknowledged everyone. By your recognition, you awaken theirs, and through theirs, yours is extended. Awakening runs easily and gladly through the kingdom in answer to the call for God. This is the natural response of every son of God to the voice for his creator, because it is the voice for his creations and for his own extension.
Thank you, Julie. To what else except all power and glory can the Holy Spirit appeal to restore God's kingdom? All power and all glory. That's all I got. Would you take that? I would say, in my right mind,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes. To me, those words are very comforting.
And yet, we don't. But that's just an indication of how much has been invested in this misperception of ourselves that the Course calls the ego. I
Yes.
mean, it is so entrenched that even when you hear the best possible news, you'll still say, I'm not so sure.
That's it.
Or it sounded good at study group. The Holy Spirit accepts, the ego, no, I got it reversed. The ego analyzes,
Yeah.
and the Holy Spirit accepts. So maybe there's no question tonight. But the next thing that happens that you perceive from your old thought system as negative, you raise, like, I don't know, I'm just going to get angry because I'm so much more comfortable with that. But you have to use this new thought system in real time, because how are you going to practice it if you never get an opportunity? So now level 2 becomes full of opportunities to practice the new curriculum. I'd be disingenuous if I gave you the new theory without giving you a chance to apply it, wouldn't I? So the same messes are going to come up. The same problems are going to come up. But I used to think they were problems, and now they're opportunities to practice. You thought they were problems. It just depends on how you want to look at it, doesn't it? We good?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Boy, you're so smart. Ah. Let's do our lesson for this evening then. We're on lesson 50 in the workbook for students. And that the title of the lesson is, well, let's just have our next reader. I think we're back to Gina. Gina, tell us the title in her reading, right?
Title of the lesson. Guess what I was searching up why her thing was purple.
Oh, do you want to read now or come back to you?
Let's come back to me.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll go to Frank for lesson 50.
Okey doke. Lesson 50, I am sustained by the love of God. Here is the answer to every problem that will confront you today and tomorrow and throughout time. In this world, you believe you are sustained by everything but God. Your faith is placed in the most trivial and insane symbols: bills, money, protective clothing, influence, prestige, being like, knowing the right people, and an endless list of forms of nothingness that you endow with magical powers.
Thank you, sir. Christine?
All these things are your replacements for the love of God. All these things are cherished to ensure a body identification. There are songs of praise to the ego. Do not put your faith in the worthless. It will not sustain you.
Comments or questions so far? Making sense?
Makes sense.
Let's go to Nancy, paragraph 3.
I think I'm next.
Who said that? Ron?
Ron, yeah.
Hey, Ron, I don't know, man, why I have this propensity skipping over my apologies. We're at Ron.
That's okay.
Love you, man.
Only the love of God will protect you in all circumstances. It will lift you out of every trial and raise you high above all the perceived dangers of this world into a climate of perfect peace and safety. It will transport you into a state of mind that nothing can threaten, nothing can disturb, and where nothing can intrude upon the eternal calm of the Son of God.
And then, was there a comment or question?
Number 4, put not your faith in illusions. They will fail you. Put all your faith in the love of God within you, eternal, changeless, and forever unfailing. This is the answer to whatever confronts you today. With the love of God within you, you can resolve all seeming difficulties without effort and ensure confidence. Tell yourself this often today. It is a declaration of release from the belief in idols. It is your acknowledgement of the truth about yourself.
And Joan, the last paragraph here.
For 10 minutes, twice today, morning and evening, let the idea for today sink deep into your consciousness. Repeat it. Think about it. Let related thoughts come to help you recognize its truth and allow peace to flow over you like a blanket of protection and surety. Let no idle and foolish thoughts enter to disturb the holy mind of the Son of God. Such is the kingdom of heaven. Such is the resting place where your Father has placed you forever.
Thank you, Joan. Beautifully done.
That is-
You ready for our meditation period?
Yes.
The title, Lesson 50, I am sustained by the love of God. And for a few minutes, we'll just let that idea, as Jesus says, sink deeply into your consciousness and repeat it and think about it and let related thoughts come to help you recognize its truth and allow peace to flow over you like a blanket of protection and surety. We're going to let the idle and foolish thoughts also come in, but just let them pass through. That for the main part of our meditation period, our focus is on I am sustained by the love of God, along with related thoughts, things related to that idea. So I'll put some music on and let's just spend a few minutes in meditation. I am sustained by the love of God. I am sustained by the love of God. It's the end all and be all. It's not complicated. Don't go for the ego tricks. Now, we can manage our ego, but we got to stop letting the ego manage us, right? Listen, I know it's maybe too late already. I've talked enough. I'm going to forego. We were supposed to do the intro to review 1, but y'all started talking too much and we ran out of time. So, are there any final comments or questions before we close this evening?
Just thanks for another insightful class, Jim.
Hey,
Very
thank you, Nancy. I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say, well, you know, I'm a pretty candid. I try and be honest because that's one of the characteristics of a teacher of God. And so, you know, I work with the Foundation for Inner Peace, and I'm involved with them in promoting the ACIM audio app. So if you haven't gotten one or subscribed to it or want to know more about it, there's always that picture at the bottom of your agenda. So you can click on it and learn some more about this ACIM audio app that I think is phenomenal, and see if you might be interested in subscribing to it. So from time to time, I'll be doing my responsibilities with promoting this computer app, mobile app, actually. Okay, so thank you for joining here tonight. And yay, I got some namaste and some just old-fashioned smiles, and that's the way I like to finish up. If you ain't smiling, it ain't spiritual, okay? So thank you for being here. Hilda, you gonna close us out again, please?
Of course. Thank you. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. I am the light of God.
I am the light of God.
I am the love of God.
I
am the love
love
of God.
of God.
Okay.
I am the power of God.
I
am
the
the
power.
power of God.
I am the presence of God.
I
I
am
am the
the
presence of God.
Therefore,
Therefore,
wherever I am,
wherever I am,
God is,
God
is,
and all is well.
and all is
well.
There is nothing to fear.
there is
There is nothing to fear.
Namaste.
There is only love and namaste.
Namaste.
Have a good week. Thank you for your time. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Take
Have a
care.
blessed week, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take
Frank,
care.
good to see you.
Good to see you, Ron.
Thank you.
It is.